Welcome to The Clean Slate with your hosts, Daniel Garza and Carson Phillips, providing you with movie news, reviews, and more. Sit back, relax, and don't forget to go to the concessions to get your popcorn and drinks. For your entertainment, this is The Clean Slate Podcast.
Welcome back to The Clean Slate Podcast. It is Found Footage February. I'm Carson Phillips. That guy over there is Daniel Garza.
What up?
And we got some fun movies for you. We love horror films. We love found footage, even though they're usually pretty crappy movies. But we grew up watching these. We want to make movies like this low-key, mainly because it cheap. But and we did have a series on YouTube. Don't go watch it.
Yeah, if you can find it, we'll give you $100.
We might do an anniversary episode though. So, but anyways, today we are covering a film called Conspiracy. It came out in 2012, and yeah, this is more of a mock documentary.
Yeah.
Than like a straight up film. It's 50-50, I guess, but.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the logline for The Conspiracy. A documentary about conspiracy theories takes a horrific turn after the filmmakers uncover an ancient and dangerous secret society.
Oh, yeah. Secrets is almost like Bohemian Grove.
Ooh.
Is there any conspiracies that you believe? What's your biggest
this
conspiracy you think is true?
Mm-hmm. I want to believe in the one world peace, like Bohemian
like
Grove.
The Illuminati?
Kind of, yeah.
They're kind of the same thing, low key, right?
Yeah. Because it's becoming almost too obvious. Like Beyonce, Jay-Z, them throwing up the signs, and Rihanna, all this type of stuff. Yeah, there's just so many
things. Are we
things
in the Illuminati?
That are subtle
right?
that they do that make it very sketch. I believe that there is definitely something going on in Hollywood.
Am I subtle? Weird. So my conspiracy is that I think Bigfoot and aliens and the Loch Ness Monster and Mothman and all those guys are actually interdimensional beings who pop in and out of our reality through flaps. Yep.
Wow.
I also think us believing in them makes them real.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's truth to it. You know, I've seen the evidence. I've seen the footage.
That's a stretch, man. I don't know.
If you guys want to hear more, message me on Instagram.
Yeah.
I have documents. The truth is out there.
Oh my god. All right. Let's talk about the plot for The Conspiracy.
Let's do it.
You do that part.
Oh, you already read the logline?
Yes.
My bad. Yeah, so so kind of like Daniel said, this movie does follow two friends, or technically three friends, that are filmmakers, and they are following around, not that they're interested in conspiracies, but they're more interested in the people that believe in these. So think of like the QAnon people that we see nowadays that are like crazy. We love to watch videos of them because it's funny. So they're kind of following around someone that I would say falls into that camp. This is obviously before QAnon was a thing when this movie came out. But they're interviewing this guy, and one day this man who believes in this kind of like conspiracy theory that ties all the theories together ends up going missing. And they start to realize there's some truth behind the crazy. And one thing leads to another, and they end up becoming obsessed with kind of infiltrating this Bohemian Grove style from the Tarsus Club is what they call it. Stupid name.
Yeah. It was a horrible
They basically try to break into this initiation, and things go horribly wrong, obviously.
Yep. You know what's weird is I can't remember if this is the reason, but I thought we picked this movie because it was specific to Bohemian Grove. This is very Bohemian Grove-esque, but it feels like a little bit of knockoff Bohemian
Grove. Why didn't they just make it Bohemian Grove is what I was wondering. Yeah, what are your things that you enjoyed most about this film, Daniel?
So I would say the third act is probably the most fun. This movie in general feels like it's something fun that we could do and that we've strived to do before.
This is achievable for us.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of what our short was.
They kind of stole our swag.
Literally. And I actually think we stole theirs because we filmed ours afterwards. We
But
filmed
we've
ours
never
in
seen this.
2014. So it was pretty much everything that I would want to make, but just better.
Okay.
Real acting, and all that sort. But it was really cool in terms of like budget. I'm gonna look at the budget real quick. But
I imagine it's pretty small.
yeah, it has to be. There's no listed budget on here right now, but yeah, it's just, this is like the lore that you and I love. Like, right, in our short that we made, that was the YouTube series, we created a cult, and it feels very similar to this. So it felt a little bit like we were making our own, or I was watching one of our own movies that we've made.
Yeah.
But so that was the fun part, and I think the ending actually leaves a good question mark to the story itself of what happened. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I enjoyed it. Wasn't a horrible film.
Yeah. No, I did enjoy this as well. I do have some major dislikes, unfortunately.
For sure. Well, do you have
But
likes first?
Yeah, I'll go over my likes first. I like that it's very plausible. It's not that unrealistic, to be honest. Like, they tie it into real stuff. Like, we know about the third building on 9/11. Like, that's a real thing. We don't know a lot about it. But, like, that's something that's real. We also know that Bohemian Grove does weird stuff. Who knows what's going on there? So there's all these, like, fraternity, like past college, Freemasons. So there's, like, interesting stuff enough to ground it in reality, which is cool. I like that. And it doesn't go off the rails too much at the end, in my opinion. Like, I thought we were going to have, like, demons coming out of the ground or something. Because that's what, like, if this was a VHS short, like part of the VHS series.
Yeah, like Satan's coming out of the ground.
Satan would come out and kill everyone at the end or something.
Yeah, and they would impregnate one of the men, and he would give birth to, like, the
to Elon
Antichrist.
Musk. Oh. So, like, yeah. So I appreciate them not going too far into, like, something that's completely off the wall. I think that was, like, a smart move. And you save money that way, which is smart. And I kind of enjoy the setup. I like that it's set up as, like, a documentary. And I really like the part when they're trying to find this missing guy. And they go on, like, Second Life, the video game. And that's how they're finding him. Like, that, yeah, that's where conspiracy theorists hang out in 2012 or whenever this was made.
It's
so that's kind of cool. They should have been on Reddit.
Dwight does.
8chan.
Okay, cool. So let's get into our dislikes now.
Yeah, biggest dislike for me is the acting took me out. Like, typically found footage film is bad acting, but this one, because it's so polished to look like it's a documentary, when I see, like, the fake, like, talking head interviews or whatever in this, it kind of took me out, like, where I'm like, oh, that feels kind of lame. And I think mockumentary kind of falls into that category for me a lot. So
Yeah.
Common complaint. And then also, I know I kind of like the ending. I think it's exciting, at least, but I hated the camera they used, like the little spy cam. It has, like, this circle around the lens the whole time.
It's like a fisheye thing.
It was ugly, and I couldn't see anything, and I couldn't tell which character was which at some point either. Like, who got that done to them?
Yeah,
and
I
then,
didn't remember their names, and so I just was like, all right, let's just...
Yeah, I was, like, super lost. And then they also made the one dude who was, like, more obsessed with the conspiracy a little too obsessed. And then they made the guy who was, like, anti the conspiracy too against it, where I'm like, yeah, I know they're supposed to oppose each other, right? But, like, it was just too extreme, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it falls into the trope, too, at the end, where it's, like, or a trap of, they're like, well, what did happen to him? And he's like, well, he never spoke to me again, and he moved away.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait.
Well, it's because the idea is that every now and then Tarsus will release information that is a little bit of the truth to let people know it's a warning. That's what they told us in the movie, at least. That was their excuse for, like, not. Yeah. That's their in-universe excuse for this movie existing.
I think the one of the worst parts of it is kind of what you covered already, is in the documentary. A lot of these found footage films that do this with documentaries, they make the interviewees like super dramatic. It's like a lot of the Halloween movies that we watched, like The House is October Bill, and when they're doing those interviews, they make
Hell House LLC or whatever.
Yeah,
this is the same movie almost.
Yeah, pretty much. And they do all these, like, extravagant, like, interviews, and the interview, like, they find the perfect people. And I'm just like, well, you know what? If you're actually on the ground just interviewing random people, they are not like that good. And,
Okay, you know what that reminds me of, though? Is when we did Darkness Descends and we interviewed that random guy in downtown Lodi.
And he was so good.
And he was super into it.
That's so funny.
So funny.
Okay, cool. So, out of 5, what are you giving this one?
Honestly, like a 2.
Yeah,
I don't want to
would say
go lower
probably
than a 2 because I had fun.
Yeah, I would say probably about a 2.5.
Okay. Also,
It was
this is just
entertaining.
in. I did just come across this movie called The Brandon Corey Story, which is another found footage conspiracy film, and this movie has been accused of ripping off that movie.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
100%. Yeah. Which is interesting. It also has David Icke in it, who is like a big conspiracy theorist, like a real person. And he talks about like reptiles and stuff in the movie, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, the reptiles are real.
Yep. Reptile people for sure. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, this is the first and hopefully the worst of Found Footage February. We got a lot more good movies coming up this month, so you won't want to miss it. But guys, hey, if you haven't already, please like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on our socials. We post clips on there frequently, sometimes. And just keep up to date of what we're doing. We got a really good year planned, so we will see you next week for the continuation of Found Footage February.
That's a clean slate.